Okay, sorry about that, folks. I always seem to forget that in HD, it's limited to 29 minutes. So that's my fault there. But again, and I had a feeling that was going to happen. I just wanted to keep going. So I'm sorry this is in two parts. But again, basically, grading is much more slower to accept why tunes act the way they do and do the things they do than Lucky is. So, basically, he kind of takes Lucky's place. And so basically, that's why Miranda was brought in this episode, because going back to what I said in part one, I should call it now, in earlier part of part one, the Miranda episodes were actually shown first on Disney Channel during the sneak peek, so that's why they had to do it the way they did. They had to make this episode to make that. That's basically why they had to make this episode, because they knew, obviously, Larry Latham knew people were going to wonder where Miranda was, and there you go. And well, basically wondering where Miranda was, and there you go. That's why they did this. Again, I know it's kind of confusing for a lot of people, like Hollywood, like Handsome Rock Lee and a few others, or many others out there, but it's the absolute truth. And if you don't believe me, Google it for yourselves, and you'll see exactly what I mean. But to the point I'm trying to make is, this is why this is why New Partners on the Block was made. That is why the Miranda episode. That's why it was made. Basically, this is why the episode was made. That's why, basically, as I'm trying to say, the history of the show is kind of unique, because that is why the Lucky episodes were created. Not just to fill up the requirement of 65 episodes in syndication, but also the fact to give basically a background story, an origin story of how Bonkers went from being a toon star at Wacky Toon Studios to being a cop. And what's funny about this is a lot of the characters, the supporting characters, not just the main supporting characters, but the ones that made an appearance there, kind of represented who the characters were in Who Framed Roger Rabbit. Like the studio boss, who fires Bonkers and his friends because they dropped in the ratings, I think, by 1. Basically, they went from number 1 to number 2, I'm thinking. His name is WW Wacky, so he's basically like the RK Maroon. And like RK Maroon, I guess, he will not settle for nothing more than being number 1. In other words, if you're representing his show, representing his studio in whatever category, basically it's like if your show is representing his studio in any of the categories, in any television categories, it better stay at number 1, because if it drops, you drop. You're gone. That's the way you look at it in this one. That's the way you look at it in the pilot episode. So yeah, and the way Bonkers is brought in as a cop, I'm not, just to let you know, in case some of you don't know, is the chief in this the chief in this cartoon is a little bit of a, it's not all there. The chief's a bit of a dimwit. He's a good-hearted guy, but he's a bit of a, he's basically a good-hearted guy, kind of like, he's in the know, if you will, but he's not all there. It's like he's not all there, if you will, and basically he, like I say, he's not all there, but but he's kind of in the know. He's smart enough to get promoted to chief. But he basically mistakes Bonkers telling him about what he had done in his cartoon shorts as Bonkers being an undercover cop for real. So he mistakes Bonkers for being a real cop, and that's why he offers him a job, and that's why Bonkers chose Lucky as his partner, because when he inadvertently helps Lucky arrest a park mugger who he'd been looking for, or the cops have been looking for months, and who had actually started to rob Donald Duck, who made an appearance in the pilot. Basically, sarcastically, Lucky tells Bonkers, "You should have been a cop," and that's why, of course, Bonkers and Lucky became a cop, because or became a team because Bonkers chose him out of what Lucky sarcastically told him. Anyway, long story short, that is the history. That is why the Lucky episodes were created. That's why the New Partners on the Block was created, and why the Miranda episodes came second after the Lucky episode, sort of like the second season. Now, as far as the two primary villains in the pilot and in the transition, the pilot episode, basically, its primary villain was the Collector, and we find out later on he's nothing more than an obsessive Bonkers fan, or an obsessive, nerdy Bonkers fan in disguise. He's not really a toon, he's just a nerdy, obsessive Bonkers fan in disguise. But basically, he's so obsessive with Bonkers that not only does he collect the sets, the sets and the props and stuff that they used in the shorts, but he's actually created this machine called the Laminator, which basically takes toons and laminates them into suspended animation. Basically, puts them in a pose like this. Like he was going to have Bonkers posed like this when he had Bonkers like this. He had Bonkers like this, if you will. And he was going to pose him, like that. He was going to laminate him into suspended animation in that pose, just like he had done to his friends. He had suspended them in certain animations poses. So, that's how obsessive this villain was. And of course he had an assistant called Doodles who was a real toon, but didn't know his boss was a fake toon. And then of course you had the villain in the sequel, transitional episode, New Partners on the Block, called Fireball Frank, who was portrayed as a bomber/terrorist, which is why, ladies and gentlemen, that episode has not been seen has not been seen ever again, except for now maybe on sites like YouTube and such, or unless people out there are lucky enough to have it on VHS and transfer it to DVD like I did. But basically, because of the portrayal of this character as a bomber/terrorist, the episode had not been seen since 1995, I believe, because basically of the Oklahoma City bombings, and then 2001 didn't help out much with 9/11, so you kind of get the idea, why that episode had not been seen in a while, due to, like I said, a portrayal of who the character was. And believe me, New Partners isn't the only episode from a Disney show that's been blocked. You had Flying Dupes that was taken off for a while, and probably still is taken out. Other episodes from DuckTales and Darkwing, and I think even Goof Troop and Aladdin, believe it or not, even Gargoyles. I'm not really sure, but you had some episodes from other certain Disney series that had been taken out. I think even Mighty Ducks had an episode or so taken out due to the circumstances surrounding it, due to the environment, due to the story settings and the villains and stuff like that. So don't worry, New Partners isn't the only one. But again, that's why you had not seen the episode in so long. That's why every time when the show was in syndication and then later on Toon Disney, when it was Toon Disney, when it would go in complete order, you would think, okay, it's going to come on, New Partners is going to come on, but it won't. It's like after you see Ski Patrol, the first repackaged episode with Ski Patrol in space and Draining Cats and Dogs, you think New Partners is going to come on. No, it doesn't. You just automatically go right into the Miranda episodes at times because of the reason, because of the feelings, the circumstances behind, of what the episode was about and who the villain was portrayed as. So, but again, that hopefully helped cover a lot of ground. It took about two videos to do it. So, and I'm sorry for the first video where I had to walk off and open the door and let my cat out into my room. Like I told people, I'm a shooter. I just go with the flow. I don't do anything else but that. But again, I apologize this had to be in two videos, but hopefully you could take time out and watch them. And take your time on the first one, okay? You know, you don't have to write, you don't have to sit through and watch it. Just take your time, because YouTube obviously starts you off where you starts you back where you left off when it comes to 20+ minute videos. So, but again, hopefully these 2 videos cover a lot of ground for those that like Handsome Rock Lee and some other fans out there that may not know about the history of the show and why certain episodes, why the Lucky episodes were made, and why the Miranda episodes were made, and why, you know, this episode, New Partners, was made as well. So hopefully this helped out, and comment and respond down below. Tell me what you guys think. Video response if you like, and I'll talk to you all later.